what we're waiting on here, and maybe some teams are sitting on their hands to see what happens with Giannis. How does this trade with Harden impact Giannis?
Yeah, the league is waiting on it. The Harden trade doesn't really come into play at all here. So I'm watching the Miami Heat and the Minnesota Timberwolves are out there in the marketplace trying to improve the offer that they can make to Milwaukee. But they may not want to do those other deals unless they know whether Milwaukee's actually going to make the move here. This is the big thing. Milwaukee has listened. They've had some back and forth, but they haven't indicated that they're actually going to trade him. Now, we all know about how negotiations go. I suspect weeks ago that the Bucks knew that this was going to come down probably to deadline the last 24 hours. So we still are about to go into that. The Warriors have put everything they can on the table. I am hearing, I would never say that I know everything that's going on. There are lots of conversations I'm not aware of, but I am not aware of the Knicks doing stuff to improve their offer, and they don't have the offer that Milwaukee's going to take. So in my view, unless you have a mystery team, this is a 3-horse race for Giannis, but the choice is really down to the Bucks, and really I think the choice is down to Bucks ownership, because I know that Giannis is ready to move. Giannis is ready to move. These other teams are ready to move. There's ancillary pieces that our teams are ready to move. Is Bucks ownership in the next 24 hours going to say, okay, let's move on from him now? If that answer ends up being yes, you see this. And I think it's going to be interesting also. Draymond Green came out last night and basically said the Warriors have told him he's going if they get a deal with Giannis done, and he's preparing himself for it.
Well, he's preparing himself for that, even though he has no intentions of staying in Milwaukee. Trust me, Draymond will be looking to get. He forget getting out of Milwaukee. He won't be looking to get to Milwaukee. He'd be looking to move on from Milwaukee without getting to Milwaukee. So let's get that out of the way first, as it pertains to Draymond Green. You got to look out for somebody like him with the Los Angeles Lakers, because obviously that's where he would want to be if he's not a Golden State Warrior. The man is always he wants to play with LeBron James. Okay, that's what he would want to do. And Draymond, the problem with Draymond, if he goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, and let me just state this for the record. Draymond Green, a 4-time champion, one of the greatest facilitators at the forward spot that we have seen in NBA history. I'm talking about a facilitator. He will get you the ball. That's what he does to Steph Curry. Here's the problem. Nobody misses more open three-pointers than the Los Angeles Lakers. Nobody. I mean, it's to the point where you have defenders faking to defend them and running into the paint and daring them to shoot, because they actually make more contested threes than they make open threes. Yeah. The more open they are, the more they miss. I don't understand it. It doesn't make much sense. But when you look at J.J. Redick's face, this is one of the great shooters in NBA history. Just imagine what it's like for him to watch his team shoot. I mean, it's just torture. That's like Magic Johnson coaching the team and covering a bunch of dudes that can't pass, or Jordan coaching the team and nobody can dunk. That's what J.J. Redick is dealing with in Los Angeles. They cannot shoot, okay? So because of that, Draymond going there, well, damn, you're going to get the ball to people, but who's going to make the shot? That's why that's problematic for them. As it pertains to Giannis, it's all about whatever deal Milwaukee gets. You got to get the right deal. You cannot lose Giannis Antetokounmpo for a boatload of stuff. If you're in Los Angeles, New York, places like that, that's different. Milwaukee, ain't nobody trying to come to Milwaukee as a free agent. You got to make stuff happen through the draft or through trades. You can't, ain't no free agent trying to go to Milwaukee. So you got to make sure that you maximize Giannis's cachet and potential to make sure you milk a boatload of stuff. Kevin Durant goes to Houston. Phoenix got a bunch of second-round picks and stuff like that, and a couple of players in Brooks and Green, okay? You look at something like that. But Luka Doncic, one first-round pick along with a couple of players. That can't happen for Giannis. It got to be a Mikal Bridges type of thing. The Knicks gave up 5 first-round picks for that man. You ain't going to get that much, but you got to get some draft capital, plus you got to get a blue-chip player or two if you're going to lose Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. Otherwise, it's a waste.
Mikal Bridges is always the bar now. It's always the bar.
Steve's funny about the great facilitator with Draymond Green.
He is.
When Curry makes 50-footers, I can get him the ball, too.
No.
Let me see when he gets to Milwaukee and Rollins is shooting those jumpers.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to make the shot.
But Draymond Green.
Oh, you're hot stuff.
Hey, am I lying, Wendy? Am I lying? Draymond Green is a great passer of the basketball, getting Curry the ball. He knows Curry. He throws it despite he knows where he's at all times. He's a great
He
facilitator.
ain't Larry Bird.
I know.
No, stop it.
I know that.
The Bucks 4-14 without Giannis. It's a free fall right now in Milwaukee until something gets done there. Wendy, thank you. We'll talk.
Last year in the postseason, he was not a factor. He was hurt, so they were compromised in that scenario. Plus Mitchell, before he put him in the Hall of Fame, and I know he's going there, let's be honest about Mitchell. He's never gotten out of the second round of the playoffs.
Yes.
And he's not played great in the second round. He did not play well against Indianapolis. He was awful. To be honest, he was awful against the Knicks.
No.
2 years ago.
I
He
got
was
you.
bad in that series.
Here's what I think you're missing. Number one, when he was in Utah, there was a lot of big games he showed up for where you knew he needed help and he didn't have it. When you looked at Cleveland, we saw starters for the Cleveland Cavaliers that literally played one game and then were inexplicably out
Allen,
the
you're
next two.
referring to him?
And that wasn't
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell. So again, you had cats that were supposed to be on the court helping him carry the load, and they didn't show up. I believe in Donovan Mitchell, and I'm not saying he hasn't had bad games, but he's had bad games because he didn't make shots. He didn't suddenly not attempt to shoot.
Right.
He didn't look lackadaisical and lethargic or
Right.
apathetic. He didn't
Right.
see that. He didn't go through all of that. It's Donovan Mitchell we talking about here. It's Donovan Mitchell. Let's be very, very clear about this. This is a big-time player.
But before we throw it back to Wendy, I'll
Right.
say one thing and let Wendy take it from there. But I'll say one thing. I understand why Cleveland did it. They weren't going – there was a shelf life with Garland.
Yeah.
He doesn't play. You bring Harden in. He'll be into it. He'll help Mitchell, take a little load off him. Great point with Wendy, which I hadn't thought of, with the big men. Maybe get them more involved. But here's the big issue to me. If you're asking me right now, is Cleveland going to the NBA? Forget winning it.
Right.
If you're asking me right now if Cleveland's going to the NBA final,
Right.
the answer is no.
Well, before I pass it
That's-
to Wendy,
that's my
before I
take on it.
pass it to Wendy, here's what I will tell you. And I think Wendy will co-sign with this. This is arguably the most prolific offensive backcourt in the NBA right now, with the combination of Harden and Mitchell leading up to the big game. No, I'm not saying the big game. Leading up to all the regular season games and those playoff games before game 6 or 7. Give me Harden and Mitchell on the offensive side of the ball. That's going to cause you headaches, particularly in the Eastern Conference. I get that part. That one game that you may need, having Donovan Mitchell there, though, that will offset it to some degree. That can offset it.
You got him in the Hall of Fame. Oh, boy.
I really shouldn't be
Donovan
doing
Mitchell,
what
bad
I'm
brother.
about. I really shouldn't be doing what I'm about to do, Shay, because I don't need the headache in my life. But here we go. I will say that there was a time in which the Cavs looked at this core that they had and said, this is a 5 or 6 year run. They signed them all up and said, this is going to be our window. They're all in their 20s. They have abandoned that. They didn't think that team was good enough. So now they're looking at a 2-year window, basically, because that's what they got James Harden for. Whether they guarantee his contract or give him a new deal, whatever they promised to get him to do this deal, it's a 2-year window with Donovan and James Harden. They have 2 big men. They now have a backcourt. Small forward is still open. Max Strus has been out the whole year with a foot injury. Small forward is open. LeBron James will be a free agent. So I will just point that out, and we'll see how things develop there.
Well, remember, in the offseason, leading into the season, everybody came after me because I went on the record saying that LeBron should leave Los Angeles rather than opt in and stay with the Los Angeles Lakers and go back to Cleveland, because I said LeBron James back in Cleveland. Or first of all, you see the way he's deified there, as he should be. There will be a statue erected outside that arena in Cleveland when all is said and done for that man, and he deserves it, okay? If LeBron James is back in Cleveland, this was before James Harden arrived. I sat up there and said, with Mitchell and Mobley and those boys, you coming out of the East if LeBron James was a part of that squad. So if you got Harden there, all right, they got the player option for next year, okay, and you got Mitchell there, and you don't have to lose anybody, and you add LeBron James to that mix, you damn right the Cleveland Cavaliers would be back in the NBA Finals, if not win it all, even at age 42 at the time, because that's how good the other pieces around them, that's how good the other pieces around them are. So now it makes it interesting because we're going to pay attention to what the Lakers are doing for the rest of this season, no matter what they did.
All right, Dub Nation. Let's talk about the scenario that has the entire NBA quietly sweating. Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Golden State Warriors. Because whether people want to admit it or not, this isn't just another trade rumor. This isn't just another superstar possibly changing teams. This is one of those moves that would literally shift the balance of power in the entire league. Think about it. For years now, the Warriors have lived in this strange space, not rebuilding, not tanking, not truly dominant either, just waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the one move that turns them from dangerous back into inevitable. And suddenly, the name attached to that opportunity is Giannis. The same Giannis who was a two-time MVP, the same Giannis who brought a championship to Milwaukee after 50 years, the same Giannis who even on a struggling Bucks team is still seen as a top 3 player in the world. Now imagine dropping that version of Giannis into Golden State. Not into a rebuilding franchise, not into a desperate franchise, but into a system built around Steph Curry's gravity, Draymond Green's IQ, Steve Kerr's motion offense, and a culture that already knows how to win at the highest level. That's when this stops being a normal trade and starts feeling like a cheat code. Because let's be real for a second, the biggest problem for Giannis in Milwaukee right now isn't talent, it's context. He's carrying, he's forcing, he's doing everything, and the team around him just isn't good enough anymore to truly threaten the elite. Golden State would be the opposite. For the first time in his career, Giannis wouldn't have to be the system. He wouldn't have to initiate every possession. He wouldn't have to bulldoze through 3 defenders just to keep his team alive. He would be running into open space created by the greatest shooter of all time. And that's where it becomes terrifying. Because how do you defend that? You trap Steph, Giannis is rolling downhill with no one at the rim. You build the wall against Giannis, Steph and Klay are raining threes. You switch, Giannis is dunking on guards, Steph is dancing on big men. It's a defensive nightmare with no correct answer. And that's why the rest of the NBA is so uncomfortable with this idea. Not because the Warriors need saving, but because the Warriors with Giannis don't just become contenders, they become the team everyone is chasing again. We've seen this movie before. When Kevin Durant joined Golden State, the NBA knew immediately, this is broken, this is unfair, this changes everything. Giannis to the Warriors would feel even worse. Because KD was lethal, but Giannis is overwhelming. He breaks schemes, he breaks rotations, he breaks mental toughness. He forces teams to play perfect basketball just to survive. Now imagine facing that in a 7-game series with Steph on the other side. That's not basketball, that's psychological warfare. And here's the crazy part. This wouldn't even be about desperation from Golden State. This would be about timing. Steph is still elite. Draymond is still one of the smartest defenders in the league. The Warriors still have assets, still have picks, still have young players. They're in that rare position where they can make a massive move without blowing up their identity. They wouldn't become a random super team. They would become a super team that actually fits. Giannis doesn't need the ball all the time. Steph doesn't need the ball all the time. Draymond thrives without scoring. Everything complements, nothing clashes. That's why this rumor hits differently. It's not Giannis to a big market. It's not Giannis to a desperate franchise. It's Giannis to the most structurally dangerous system in modern basketball. And that's why people keep saying, if this happens, the league is cooked. Not because other teams are bad, but because no team can realistically match that ceiling. You can build around size, you can build around shooting, you can build around defense, but you can't build around all 3 at once. Golden State already has shooting and IQ. Giannis would bring size, dominance, and physical fear. That's the final piece. And the scariest part is, this version of the Warriors wouldn't even need Giannis to average 35. They wouldn't need him to carry. They wouldn't need hero ball. They would just need Giannis to be Giannis. Run the floor, protect the rim, attack mismatches, collapse defenses, create chaos. Steph would do the rest. And that's what makes this scenario feel so dangerous. Because it's not flashy, it's not dramatic, it's just logical. The Warriors want to win now. Giannis wants to compete for championships. The Bucks are entering a transition phase. All the incentives are aligned, which is why this rumor refuses to die. And even if it doesn't happen this week or this season, the idea is already planted in everyone's mind. The idea that the final chapter of Steph Curry's prime might include one last unstoppable partner. Not another shooter, not another scorer, but the most physically dominant superstar of his generation. Giannis Antetokounmpo in Golden State. And if that day ever comes, don't be surprised when the rest of the NBA looks around and says the same thing. This isn't fair, because some teams rebuild, some teams reload, but the Warriors,